Hello back. Sorry for the several little videos. It was a festival of delivery, so we have dealt with them all. So hopefully now this video is going to be much longer. Apologies. So what I've done is I have laid it all out. I have done my chop it off here and stick it onto another strip, as I had explained to you earlier, so that if you lay it up with a 1/2 inch overlap, you get an idea where it is. So once it's sewn together, we need to see it's a bit iffy down here, but everywhere else is just fine. With these 8 strips, you always make it. You sometimes need to jigsaw a bit, but you always make it. Right, I have started sewing them together, so it's not so long for you, but I take you with me to do the other half so that you see how I do it, and that you see, so even with me, the corners didn't all fit. It's as good as the blind man on the horse and so on, but it meets quite okay, and you can influence that. So the biggest thing is don't pin it, because if you pin it you cannot push and shove. So let's do the next one together. We that's the next step. We put it on top of each other, and then when you put it into the machine, all you want to see is that the first one here is lining up like that. Here's the connection, so you just hold it there, and then you go in, put your needle down and start sewing, and from then onwards you would have that strip in the left hand and that strip in the right hand, and then you would be looking that you meet it. And sometimes you have to tug a bit on the lower fabric and sometimes a bit on the upper fabric, just so that you meet the connections here, and then you put your finger firmly on it so that when you come to it, so to do that you can also use your stiletto, or you use the seam ripper, whatever you want, something pointy that helps you finding the connections. So here we go. The upper one here seems to be a bit longer, so we just tug a bit on the lower one, put our pointy tool on top, and then just rattle over. And that's how you do from connection to connection. So here it's quite a bit, so poke that down a bit, but also just keep the upper bit a bit looser, and then all in all it should meet quite okay. And this one here, that more or less fits. Again, pointy tool on top, and then rattle along, and the last one you can just go how you want. So take it out, and then like before we lay it all flat, and then with your fingers you prepare it so that the seam allowance stays flat on the floor, and then with the iron you confirm it. See, and I sugar a bit, that way it will nicely stay flat. And look, we haven't done too bad at all. So, and then we go to the next level. So that would be, see again, you always make sure you're the right way around, not by mistake the other way. And then you come here, and again we start where this stitched line meets the ditch here. We start with that, take it with you, and then we go in the machine and we sew it. There you are, our 1/4 inch. And see, here's our next one. There's the connection underneath accurate. Put your pointy tool on top and rattle along and just go away in the last second. Here you see it's more or less okay. We just need to see, you can move it quite a bit. We just need to move it a bit. Pointy tool on top and off you go. There. These stilettos or seam rippers are really great friends for sewing, because your finger is just too bulky to get underneath there. And so here, this is a bit short and this is a bit long. So we pull a bit on the upper fabric and again put a pointy tool where now the stitching meets the ditch underneath, and force it in and only lift it away last minute. And then here we pull a bit this way. So you see, no square really wants to meet on its own. You always need to help a bit. That shouldn't be too bad. Let's have a look at that. Again, hold it flat, come with your fingers and sugar it over as you go. See, that's not bad at all. That's acceptable. That's really okay. If you get it like that, I think we can really let that go. And then we come to here, and to here, I think. Yes, that's about it. Let me see, that's about the line. Yes, that's what we need. We need to see the last one. I'm not so convinced, but I think we sew these ones on and then we discuss the last one if we need another one next to it. So let's quickly do that together. I show you that again. You can't really see that often enough. So see, you don't even want to know where this one starts because it doesn't matter. It doesn't have a connection. So you lay it out so that this connection here, where the stitching is here and the ditch is here, that connection needs to meet. So you put your tool on that, and where you then start up here is the consequence of the connection down there, if that makes sense. So rattle along, and then see here it's just on top. So dig it down and rattle along. See, you can even stitch with a needle beyond the tool. It doesn't matter as long as you don't put it right there where the needle wants to go. So here we are broader on top and shorter on the bottom. See here, that's quite a bit that you can pull. And then you pull it so that's correct. Hold it. And there we go. And again here, that's the end bit. So it doesn't matter. There. That's how you do that. And the less you pin, the better you're off because you can juggle it better. So again, fingers push over and the sugar of the iron confirms it. Then we put the next one on and then we discuss what we need to do to get the toes of that stocking on. There will be a solution. There always is. So again, we connect here, stitching to ditch a bit further down. There. Go in. So yes, I have been naughty. I always tell you guys to go down with the needle before you start stitching. So I shall be a good girl and do that as well. Yeah, my stitching still fits to the ditch. Next one and next one. And then again here, there's nothing, no more connections behind. So just wherever it hits. So then let's press that out and then we do a final check with the stocking. And then we soon come to cutting out stage. So here. Where are we? So let's see, we go about 15 millimeters before that next run here. Looks good here, looks good here, looks good here, looks good here. So we're looking now if we everywhere have got the centimeter seam allowance all around it. So we're good to here, we're good to here. We're actually really good. Oh yeah, we're fine. So the only one where we are not so good, so we need to stitch the last one on here. And this one we don't even need. And this one we are a tad short, right? So, but we know that these two are next to each other. And we know we don't need it here. So we do a last adjustment. Take it off on this side and stick it on the other side. So you do need to do quite a bit of that to get this round the curve. That's the fuffiest bit, but once it's all sewn together, it's much more straightforward after that. But it's so nice with a diamond pattern. Needle down. So nice with a diamond pattern. It's worth doing all that. So iron it over, and now it's much better. See, now we are super perfect on this. So let's sew the last one on, and then we are ready to cut out. Hallelujah, that took a while. So also first connection is here. Line up to the first connection wherever this hits. Wait for it. There we are. Needle down, and let's go. Then here, ooh, that's a bad one. That's quite a few millimeters, so I just need to really pull it. Nothing a steam iron can't fix after. And then now I just need to pull the underside a bit, and then I connect this one, and then the last two wherever they fall. Here you are, all done. So last one pressed. See, you see a bit from the pulling, it's a bit wobbly, but the steam iron will fix it. And ooh, look how nice. Well, up here a bit nice-ish, but the other ones are good. So that's our stocking. So let's pin it on. Let me just grab some pins. Let's pin it on. Start again with our line. I figured if we go about 15 millimeters above here and then a bit up, then we are just fine. So what I'm doing here is I'm eyeballing that line to this line, that it's the same distance as over here. So we are about right. We have room here, room here, room here, room here. We are a bit tight here, so we are just moving down a small little bit, that we have enough room here. Here we need a bit more, so we need to come a bit back up there. Fine, and here's just a centimeter. Tip top. Right, so, and then we'll just lift that a bit and pin that a bit on. There. So that we can sew around it, not sew, cut around it without it making us a fuss. There. Let's look again. That one is about a centimeter higher, so it is here to the extent. I think it's a bit squint. That's better. Let's not pin the iron up to it. There. I think that's not bad. Right, so, and then we take our scissors and we cut. So if you now say, yeah, but I'm not really sure if I grab the 10 or 15 millimeter seam allowance correctly. Do you see what we cut here now? We now copy over then to the interfacing and to anything else we're doing. So if you do a slightly too broad or too slim cutting with distance here, it doesn't matter, because nobody will see that you have slightly altered the shape. See, I might be a millimeter less here than I'm here, but it really doesn't matter, because all the layers that are cut now to make the stocking will follow what we cut here. That will be our master, what we cut out now, if that makes sense. So just eyeball a distance. If you're safer, then by all means, you know, if you have a ruler like this, you can eyeball here, put your distances, or put your distances like that all the way around. That's totally up to you, with whatever you feel more comfortable. if eyeballing is not part of the equation for you. Make it a bit rounder here, there, and then we cut out the rest. Make sure you don't cut in that ironing mat, that wouldn't be the best idea. There, and then we do the heel. Obviously, I think what I should do for you is when I make you the stocking pattern, I will dot you the seam allowance around you, and then you just cut it out around the dotted lines. What about that? I will do that for you. And I also noticed down here, I will not give you such a short bit. I will come a bit in that you find it easier to follow the pattern. And for that, it's good that we do the video more or less as a prototype, because we learn from this just as much as you do. There. So this goes all the way, and here we are. You are, so as you're halfway through, because once you have this, the rest is not such a big adventure anymore. Here you are. That actually looks quite cool, doesn't it? So that's our master. So now we take the back. We take the back and we need to kiss the back. So it is somewhat directional. So the sock needs to go that way, because the cards are all going up this way. So if we know that, then we press it. There. And then obviously we need to put the stocking on the same way. So this is the finished article, isn't it? On the front you see this, on the back you see that. It's in the final position, and it includes the seam allowance here, so you can go as near as you want and keep the rest for the future project. Here you go. You will see I work a lot with an iron. What I now do is I press this down in its cut out form, and then it kind of sticks a bit to the backing, and that makes it easier for me to cut it out. I do, however, pin it a bit on, just here along the outer lines, so that it doesn't move when I cut it. Just a few little pinny pins, and then you run around it. You don't need to do any measuring. You just plainly run around it. There. So here, just run around it. And for the lining then, originally we showed you this, but we have decided we'll add a 1/2 meter of polycotton to the kit. So if you have red fluff, we give you red polycotton. If you have what we showed you at the beginning, if you have a mustard fluff, we give you the mustard polycotton, and so on and so forth. Because if the fluff fits in color, then that color will fit you as a lining as well. Obviously you never see that lining on the outside, so it's only of secondary importance. It needs to fit, but it doesn't need to be perfect. So here, there, okay. So this now needs to be interfaced. This needs to be interfaced here. Now, what I do now, however, if we now press this onto the interfaced, onto the, see, you hear the rough is the bobble side, and the smooth is where the bobbles are not. So what you need to do here is you need to be very careful, because if your iron hits the bubbles, then you have a great mess on your iron. So what you want to do is you want to be very space saving. There is no grain line or anything on interfacing. This is non-woven interfacing. It's see, there is no weave or anything, so there's no grain line. It will not drape or anything, so you can really be super stingy with the space. And what you do is you go here in the middle. You need steam. I work with steam anyway, but you need steam. You won't get it onto the big glue dots will not melt if you don't use steam. And see, you press it on, but so that you do not hit the outside. See that here? You stay well on the fabric. You don't come off the fabric at all. And then you cut it out. And once it is cut out, we can then fuse it to everywhere. There. And then it reduces you the mess on your iron and the iron board and everywhere else. So here you are. Make sure, because glue on the iron is really not nice. Lift it a bit over, see, so, and then you can come better around the curves here, there, and then take it off and then cut across. So that is this. Then you do the same with the back. Always annoys me that we lose so much. Maybe if we can, oh yeah, look, we put it on like this, and then we don't lose so much there. Again, put it on. Now these small bits, don't discard them, because you will sometimes only need a little bit of interfacing when you make little decorations. So all this, it's a shame to discard it, so keep the bigger pieces. There. And then this. Do you know, I especially take a liking to something like that for an adult, you know, with the diamonds on here and then the browns and the mustards. I think that would make a brilliant stocking. And also the Scottish stockings with the thistles and the stalks. So it really doesn't always have to be Christmas fabrics. Be really open. There's so many nice Fackwater bundles on the website. Trail through, and sometimes the loudest of them make the best stockings, because that pattern, well, it looks good both loud and not loud. So now we can go everywhere. Ooh. Well, let's see. This needs to come off, because otherwise, the problem is if you get that on the iron and then you smear it all over the fabric, which would be a great shame. So because this is fleece, you need to have a bit of patience. That doesn't fuse in a jiffy. So if it says fuse the interfacing on, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you do this and then you say done. It's not like that. You need to have